Okay, so I think I've just fixed an issue I was having with my Miele W1613. So the symptoms I was getting were drain fault intermittently and a error code around the water inlet. I think it was F51, and it was quite intermittent, and you could clearly see that the water was coming into the machine and it was draining away. So there wasn't really a problem with those things. It's just that the machine thought that there was a problem with those things. So reading online, apparently there's a pressure sensor that can be incorrectly triggered or not triggered with certain things that can go wrong with the machine. So I think I fixed it. So if you come over here, I'm just going to take this. So the way this works, you've got a hose which connects to this chamber here. The chamber itself connects to the bottom of the tub, and that connects all the way to this hose. Normally, if you don't have it dangling down like I've got, it goes through this little hole up here somewhere and connects to the main kind of board. There's a sensor, I think it's this thing here. And what happens is when the water rises in the drum, it comes up this chamber here, and in doing so, the water level rises and it increases the pressure in the hose. It's a very narrow hose, so that the volume of air in the hose is quite small. So the increase in the height of the water is enough to trigger the pressure sensor. So the problem that from Googling online that I've just fixed, I think, is because this chamber here has a little spigot that pokes through into the bottom of the drum, and it's quite narrow, maybe, I don't know, the size of the head of a screwdriver or something. Well, not this end, the fatter end, but it's just in the right spot to get sort of filled up with a load of gunge over many years. So there's a hose that I've taken off, which is for the waste and draining the water. So that usually connects to the bottom of the drum under there, and connects up to this little outlet here. And what was I going to say? So yeah, you can't see that, but underneath, once you've taken it off, you can actually feel the end of the spigot. And when I first took this off and reached round, I could feel already, you can even see there's a little bit of gunge still, but it was very, very clogged. And all I've done is I've tipped the machine back on an angle just to make it easier to access, but also it makes gravity work on to my advantage. So I've just got a little screwdriver, and I'm reaching around and I'm just kind of wiggling it in the hole, and just doing that repeatedly until I kind of collect all of the gunge, and I've just been dumping it into a little bowl. And hopefully what's going to happen now that I've unblocked the spigot, that is not going to impede the performance of the pressure sensor. Another quick little tip, I don't know if it's really that helpful, but what I did was just to test the flow. You can just unthread this, and a bit gross putting your mouth on it, but if you blow, might be worthwhile doing that before you actually clear it, because that would be a good test to see if it is actually flowing. But you can also do that in combination with using a screwdriver to kind of encourage the gunk to go the right direction, which is out. So yeah, give that a try. Okay, so I'm now rebuilding this in reverse order. Apologies for not getting the dismantle, but hopefully doing it in reverse will give you all the steps that you need to take it apart as well. So I've taken this tube here, which connects to the bottom, pushed it back on. I just need to get these long screws and just put them back where they belong. I don't know if you can really see. Just here, really, these little O or circular things, just to tighten up these little bands around the bottom. And this here, I'm going to get some pliers and just push that on and clamp it back. It just squeezes and then tightens onto the spigot. Okay, that's done. Yeah, I just used some pliers to just pinch these closed and push that along, and just a Phillips screwdriver just to fix these back nice and tightly. This bottom one, in retrospect, I didn't actually need to undo because it's just for holding something inside this waste pipe thing. I've also just reconnected the this little pressure hose to the pressure sensor up here, so that's that done. Whilst this is all dismantled, this is a good opportunity just to get into the creases of this little rubber section. It gets quite manky, so I'm going to give that a bit of a clean. Not perfect, but much better. I'm just going to take a moment to mop up any excess water or damp inside the bottom of the machine, because I think this here is a flood detection device, so if there's any water it will stop the machine from running. So I'm just going to quickly do that before I put it all back together. Okay, so I had previously taken off this side panel here on the left for access. Just made it a little bit easier to reach into the machine to access some things and wiggle things about. So I'm just going to put that back on now. It's just a few screws, I think 9 in total. 3 on the front, 3 along the top, and 3 along the back. Yeah, so as I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just be aware these are these star type of screws, so you'll need one of these star bits. So the next thing I'm going to do is just attach the front of the machine. Before you screw it back on, so there are, I believe, 5 screws. Screw here, here. There are 2 screws either side of the door latch, and a large screw that goes in the bottom here to fix it in place. Before I do that, just make sure you get this little red, orange little thing, which is a manual override for the door, and thread it through this little hole here. You can see me doing that right now. So make sure that's in there so that it's accessible through this compartment, which you won't be able to see yet, but you get the idea. So I just spent some time struggling to get this on because I'd forgotten that down the bottom, if I focus there, you can see there's these little prongs that stick upwards, and you have to rest the front on those before you can do anything. So yep. So having put it on the prongs, this all now lines up beautifully, so the screws can now be attached. Got this little big screw that goes in here, and it all lines up quite nicely. It's just, yeah, none of this lined up before when I was trying, and I was trying to figure out why, including this as well. That was all off, but now it's just lined up perfectly. So yeah, just connect all that up. Okay, now for the part I haven't really been looking forward to be honest. So this has a little seam that needs to come over the top of this little metal lip all the way around, and then it's held in place with this little spring-loaded O wire thing. So I'm going to just try and put it on and see how I go. Okay, well, I've just gradually kind of eased this over the rim, and it feels pretty secure, and it was a bit easier than I thought, so that's good. So now I'm going to try and install this, which will just involve literally putting it over, pulling it over the rim, I think. Just to quickly point out that the spring-loaded section, you'll find that at the bottom. Well, that's where it was initially, so I'm putting it back in that location. Yeah, the method that I'm finding is working quite well is just putting a small screwdriver through one of the holes, and you can manipulate it quite easily now. So I'm going to do that and just push it over. I've threaded it around the entire section, and it's just getting this last little bit over and pushing it behind the rim. Yeah, not too painful. So yeah, that's all in place. I found it was worthwhile just going carefully around, just checking. There are a few places where it wasn't quite over the edge. It's quite difficult to see because the colour of the rubber is the same colour as the wire, so have a real good look, and any places where it's not quite over, you can just very, very carefully just push it over and it'll just snap into place. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I've just reinstalled the drain filter. Yeah, I'll just close this up. So the control panel is quite easy to reinstall. It's just got these three little pegs, one here, here and over here, and they just rest in here, here and here. It should just be a case of just moving it over and putting it in, to be honest. I'll try and do it one-handed. Bit cack-handed, but you get the idea. I'm just going to do that again, but a bit more carefully. Okay, so on the back of the machine I've just reattached these brackets. Now with hindsight, I didn't actually need to take them off at all, because the lid is designed in such a way that you can detach it without actually taking these off. So just to be aware of that. Okay, so the lid is sort of quite simple. This is the back, this is the front. I've just flipped it over that way. So you'll see you've got these little movable clips that on the side there's a little cap. I'll just grab here, that you can take off, revealing a screw, and what the screw does is just pull this little clip this way to hold the top in place. At the back there's just some little slots which locate or just slot into these. So yeah, quite easy. It just on about a 45-degree angle or something, you can slot it in and just fold it down and it will click into place, and then you can seal the lid shut with the screws on the side. Okay, the lid's on. I think it's all reassembled. Plugged it in, connected it all up, and hasn't exploded, which is always a good start. So I think what I'm just going to do is put it on a spin cycle. This is a very short cycle, and when I was testing this, it would reproduce the fault. So I'll give this a go, and in 8 minutes I should know whether I fixed it. Now I realised that about a minute in, when I did this last time, this timer didn't actually tick down, and I think it's because it was actually stuck on the draining cycle, because it had some a little bit of residual water in the machine. And I guess optimistically I'm thinking this may mean that it's fixed, because the pressure sensor presumably must have been triggered, although I suppose it could also be that me dismantling it and reassembling it has caused it to be the pressure to be relieved. So I guess the real test here is going to be running an actual cycle. So but it seems to be working, so I haven't completely destroyed it, so that's good. So I fixed it. I've ran a couple of cycles now, and this is just it running again on another cycle, and yeah, so it seems clearing that blocked inlet on the pressure sensor hose or the chamber, the little spigot that pokes through does in fact fix that particular issue. So very pleased with that. Saved myself buying a new washing machine, so I hope that's helpful.